Just something that's really interesting. People have been kind of calling doom and gloom because the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, apparently the sales projections are very much under what Square Enix was expecting. The rough figure or range was about half of what Final Fantasy VII Remake made at this stage. So I guess, Wen, your thoughts on this and how they might feel about it?
Not surprised. So the problem, I think, comes down to the fact that Final Fantasy VII Remake was something that a lot of people really wanted. They really wanted that itch scratched because they've been buying for this game to get remade. It did amazing, but let's look at what happens after the game initially dropped, right? A year later, it comes on PC. A year later, we get Final Fantasy VII Remake Intragrade, which is a better version, and they do this all the time with their Final Fantasy games. They drop a regular version, then they drop an enhanced version, and they drop the complete version. Like they kind of really saturate their own market. So if I'm somebody who I haven't even beaten Final Fantasy VII Remake, so I had no interest in buying Rebirth. So when it comes down to why some people didn't buy, maybe they're not done 7. Maybe they just got the PC version. Maybe they're waiting out for the PC version, or maybe they're just waiting for it to go on sale. Like there's just a lot of things that could go into it. Their projections, I don't think should have matched similar to Remake because those are two different games, right? The people who were waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake played it, maybe they didn't enjoy it. That's another factor in too. Is like it was good, but some of those old people might have been like, man, I wanted this to be turn-based. Like it could be a variety of different reasons. I'm not surprised. I think I'm more surprised at the fact that they assumed it was going to do buku numbers. Yeah. But it's Final Fantasy VII. Like I think it's valid to think that, but I'm not. To me, this isn't shocking at all.
Yeah. It's just. I think also what might play into it a little bit as well is, like, again, Final Fantasy Remake, it was the longest wait in between games. Again, one of the most popular JRPGs of all time. People are chomping at the bit to get it. And when they realize that the game's kind of sectioned off into, what's now to be threes, the game's basically chopped up into thirds. I feel like the excitement has gone down a good bit because they're like, oh, damn, we thought we were getting the whole game with 1. It's kind of chopped up into 3. Yes, a lot of people will come back, but maybe they didn't get the whole Final Fantasy VII that they thought they were going to get in the remake. Maybe some of the naming might have to do with it. So again, the content funnel, I completely agree with, has to play a factor and plays a role in this as well. Just getting so much Final Fantasy over the years that maybe it's just slowed down what they might have thought. And again, it probably isn't an acceptable range, but maybe not for what they think of Final Fantasy VII, the remake trilogy, because they want to sell bananas buku numbers and stuff like that. But it just might not be the case with how much you've pumped into Final Fantasy VII over the past 4 years. Like, it's been a lot. It's been a good amount of time, and that's a relatively short turnaround to expect major numbers when you put about 3 or 4 releases into this series. In Final Fantasy VII alone, not given Final Fantasy 16 and all stuff like that that's been coming through on the other side as well. So I think it was to be expected. Again, the hype is just naturally going to funnel down the more you get remakes of Final Fantasy VII and you chop it up into pieces. I don't think as many people will come back in waves off the first drop. So yeah, it's just the spacing. To me, it's just a bit of the spacing and a bit of the saturation. So I fully agree with you there. It's just a bit too much Final Fantasy VII, and that might have hampered some consumers' expectations of, oh, maybe I thought we were getting the whole game of remake, or when is the next one coming out? I'm already stuck with 3 Final Fantasies that are in my backlog. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. I might as well just wait on Rebirth. So it could be a lot. It's a mix of things. It's a mixed bag of different things, but I think they'll be fine to their expectations. But maybe in a spot where Square Enix needs big wins, considering financial situations and where they were close to, off the back of things like Forspoken and stuff like that weren't as financially fruitful as they wanted to be. I know maybe they're hoping for out of the park astronomical numbers from their flagship, but with how they outlaid stuff, I think the saturation might have slowed them down in the long run.